Okay, so in this video, I want to talk about the first out-of-body experience I had, and then maybe reveal and show how I felt like it led me to something bigger, into a deeper dive into who I am, my conscience. I want to unveil and uncover how the first really intense out-of-body experience I had led me to what I'm doing now. In the long run, really didn't see it at the beginning, but it's there. So the first out of body experience I had, it was in high school. Just to set the tone, the setting for whenever it happened. I felt like an emotional, chaotic mess. My father had just passed away. I had a big, like a heavy workload for my classes and stuff. I was really stressed out because of that. I was sort of like having multiple relationships, being destructive in that way. So whenever I had my first out of body experience, maybe some people would consider it a reaction to all the stresses and the pains and things I needed to heal from my subconscious revealing itself. I couldn't tell you what it is. I don't think anybody really understands dreams deep enough to know exactly what it would be. But anyways, that was the setting for the first out of body experience I had in high school. So just to get right into the experience, me and I really hadn't been. I before this time I hadn't been diving into spirituality, dreams, lucidity, anything like that. Now I'm really interested in that, but at that point, nothing. I really wasn't into anything like that. So it started off as a dream that I had. I was sleeping on the couch in the living room. I was sleeping on a couch in our living room, and whenever I was whenever I was laying there, I fell asleep on my back, and I was in sleep paralysis at first. And usually in sleep paralysis, I get scared. I think everybody gets scared. I was in sleep paralysis, but this time I wasn't scared. I was just looking. I was just looking around, and whenever I was looking around, I just felt relieved, and I felt like I could get up. So I sat up, and instead of waking up and getting up, I sat up out of my body, and I could still see my dream body, my physical body there, I guess. So I sat up, and then the living room door's across the room, so I start walking towards the door. And before I could get to the door, I reach for the handle, and before I can touch the handle, everything around me just turns white. I'm in this giant space of just white, open emptiness, but it wasn't empty in the sense of emotion. Like, I felt at peace, I felt at home, it felt good. And there's only one thought or one idea that resonated inside of my head, inside of my heart, inside of my being, and the tone of everything was just I am. And so if you know anything about anything spiritual, that's I think rooted in a few different cultures, the term I am, and it's this sense of being. It's the phrase that Jesus said, I am that I am, and that's like his being. He was who he was. It's who you are. But anyways, I reached for the door, and before I could get to the door, I'm surrounded by this whiteness. I'm consumed by this whiteness. I felt like it's a part of me. I don't feel separate. My skin doesn't feel separate than this thing. It feels like it's flowing through me. I guess like radio waves flow through the air, going through me. So I felt it inside of me. I felt it outside of me. And I continued to walk. After I was reaching for the door, I was walking for the door. So I keep walking, and I'm still walking through this white openness, this sense of I am. And I see in the distance what I believe is a castle, but it doesn't look like a castle. It just looks like a gray blur in the distance, maybe like a silhouette of something familiar. But I keep walking towards this castle, and I'm still experiencing this sense of bliss, peace, oneness, wholeness with what's outside of me and what's inside of me. And I keep walking towards this space, this gray area that I believe is a castle. But before I could get there, I'm back in my body. I'm relaxed, and I know I could get up and get out of my body again. So I sit up again, And this time I look up and I see my dad looking down at me, and he's speaking to me, and just I don't remember what he said, but I got the emotion behind what he said. And it was just him telling me that he's proud of me, and that he loves me, and that he cherishes me. And maybe it was something I needed to hear at the time, but it's what he was telling me. And I start to wake up out of this dream, or out of this out of body experience, and he continues to talk. And as he talks, what he says blurs into what the TV is saying. So at the end, it's like jumbled up words, and then it's just some random things that I'm like, what is he saying? And then I wake up and open my eyes, and the TV continues the sentence that he just said. So whatever that reality was blurring into this reality as I was waking up, my consciousness coming into this realm of thinking and how things are here. So yeah, that was the first out of body experience I had. It was really intense, and it really, I think, inspired me to look to the deeper things in life, because at that point in my life, I was on the surface. I was living as a person on the surface, and I was living without being connected to my depth and to my core of who I am. And I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know how you could do that. I didn't know the value of doing that. All I knew was the stresses of school, the stresses of heightened male hormones, and being destructive in relationships. I was in the stress of loss. So just this one experience that I had sort of opened my eyes into something deeper. And once I realized that there was something deeper that made me feel more at home than I've ever felt before, just within myself, anywhere I would go, it felt like it inspired me to understand what the meaning of I am was. What is I am? At that point, I didn't realize any spiritual implications. I just realized that's what I was, and I was a part of it. And made me dig for deeper understandings of myself spiritually. It, I think, forced me to deal with layers of chaos that I had going on inside of me, and how to bring that back into order, and bring myself back into an alignment of values, and understanding of myself and the people around me. And then it also inspired me to seek out something that was bigger than me. And of course, there's a sense of God in that spiritual sense, but also a destination that felt bigger than me, and a vision that felt bigger than me. And I think that's what led me to, I guess, the whole purpose and the reason behind this channel, what I'm trying to document, which is ultimately helping creators, being a creator full-time, all those things. But I feel like the seed for all of those things were planted that one day, because what it created inside of me was a deep desire to see the things that aren't seen, and to live in an understanding of things that aren't seen, and the value of things that aren't seen. So whether the things that aren't seen are spiritual, like actual spirituality, things that are of that nature, or things that are unseen in the sense of emotions and ways to think about the world, and hopes and visions, and strategizing and creating a future that isn't seen yet. So yeah, that was my first experience. So I guess I just want to break it down a little bit. The first, and how it brought me to those conclusions. So the first thing that was pointed out to me in the out of body experience, the dream, was I was walking somewhere, and so there was a destination to go to. So even though I was surrounded by I am, and felt at peace and felt at home, that didn't make me stop moving towards a destination. And I think maybe some people might might have spiritual practices for the sense of reaching that sense of nirvana, that state of nirvana, oneness, wholeness, completeness. And so I think I was experiencing that, but I didn't stop there. I didn't say, okay, I'm here, this is all I need. I was in that sense of being, and then at the same time, I continued to move towards something that I felt like was great in its own right. It wasn't just great to be in that experience, it was also great to be at the place that experience was taking me. So to that castle, and to that image that I saw in the future. So I think for spirituality, for the value of the spiritual lesson in that is that you could be in nirvana, you can be in wholeness and completeness, but at the same time reach for something um, that is greater than you, and even this sense of wholeness leads you to. So the second obvious thing was the I am that I felt surrounding me and inside of me. Um, like I said, it felt like home, and and at the same time, it called me to move forward. I sort of touched on that just now. Um, and then the third thing that was really valuable to me personally was I felt connected and whole in that experience of I am. And then as I woke up, my dad was telling me that he was proud of me and that um, he loved me. And so that brought my spiritual understanding first, the I am part, my spiritual understanding into the sense of wholeness. And then my father, like my dad, brought this physical experience into wholeness, because I felt like before that I was always striving to be good enough for my dad. He wasn't a bad dad. He just would always push me to do more and do more, and it built up a conscientiousness inside of me to where I became responsible with a lot of things. But I didn't always get that feeling of you did enough, or I'm proud of you, like we're good here, you did enough. And because I never felt like I did enough, I never felt like I was good enough. And so whenever he spoke to me, he would tell me that he told me that he loved me and that he was proud of me. And so I think that brought my physical reality into a check, into where I could see that I could accept love in a natural way. And it wasn't just a spiritual, abstract idea of being accepted. It was a physical, this person knows you and this person loves you, and it was more personal. So yeah, this was my first out-of-body experience I had, and the little breakdown of what it did for me and what I felt like it created inside of me, which is wholeness, and then planted the seed, I think, for the vision that I have for my life.